I tell you all the time on this program how important it is to show up and vote. I say you have to fight like a Democrat. You've heard me say it before. And not just in the presidential election, in your midterms, in the local election. I don't care if you're voting for dog catcher. You need to get out and vote. That's how you take back America. Every little bit at a time. The left has been very good at mobilizing its base in recent years, where the right has fallen woefully short many times. But now there are groups looking to help change that. Hunter Nation is one of those groups, and their Get Out the Vote campaign, Hunt the Vote, is looking to bring out hunters to the polls. They just did this in Louisiana, helped encourage people to go vote because their research showed that 50%, think about this, 50% of hunters don't vote at all, which to me it's mind-boggling. Here to discuss this is Hunter Nation's founder and CEO, Keith Mark. Keith, nice to see you again, my friend.
Steve, thanks for having me on. Love the program.
It's to me, look, I've hunted since I was allowed to hunt. You know, I was dragged around by my dad when I was 6, 7 years old, been doing it ever since. I'm around hunters and around people. They care about their family. They care about their faith. They care about the Second Amendment, and yet they don't turn out at the polls. Man, yeah. How does that even make sense?
You know, it makes no sense. And so a long time ago, I stopped trying to figure out, why. But we've done a lot of research, Steve. And when you think about it, the November elections come right in the heart of hunting season. So there's your excuse built in. And then the other thing is that hunters, they're very independent, self-reliant people. And they worry about theirs and their, and they don't really pay a lot of attention what's going on the other fellow's back porch. But the time for that is come and gone, because when you see all the anti-hunting stuff out there, when you see all the anti-gun stuff out there, and then because, as you said, hunters believe God, family, country, and all those traditional American values, a lot of the other issues that are impacting America today, whether that's open border, engineered recidivism with regard to crime, and the list is long, hunters are now starting to realize that they need to go vote their values, or the other person's values or lack thereof is what's going to dictate their.
Absolutely true. Now, there was just a recent election in the state of Louisiana for governor, and the candidate that you preferred came out on top, although that was not expected. And you think that your efforts may have made a difference. And like I say, you have to fight like a Democrat. And what I mean when I say that is, I think the idea of election day is great. It's not the rules I operate under in the state of Michigan where I live, because they changed all the rules. We don't have election day, we have election season. And so now my goal is to find as many people. I'm going to vote on the first day I can legally. And then I'm going to take the rest of that 4, 5, 6 weeks and find every low propensity voter I can find. I'm going to have parties on the weekends. We're going to have ballot parties and get together and, hey, I'll take care, because I can. That's all legal now. We have to do what Democrats do. We don't have to like the rules, but we have to fight hard with the rules we have, don't we?
Yeah, we certainly do. And, we're a not-for-profit, so we don't really tell hunters who to vote for. What we consider ourselves is kind of an informational or an educational group. We're trying to encourage hunters to go out and vote their values. And yes, we did get heavily involved in that recent governor's election down in Louisiana. And we sent out over 100,000 mailers to licensed hunters in Louisiana. And we reached probably 430,000 hunters via text or robocalls with the help of some of our great hunting friends down there, from Jace Robertson, from the Duck Commanders, to Troy Landry, from the Swamp People and Donald Trump Jr., and of course, my friend and your friend, the national spokesman for Hunter Nation, Ted Nugent. And all we tried to encourage these hunters to do is to do their homework and get out and vote their values. And so people say, well, you must have wanted, and obviously the winner was Jeff Landry, and people said, well, you must have wanted Jeff Landry. And the answer to that is, what I wanted was hunters to go out and vote. And the fact that Jeff Landry won when we had an exceptionally large turnout of hunters is more a testament to Jeff Landry and his values, because it would appear that his values would align with the big turnout of hunters. And so if we impacted that election, it would only be because we turned out and voted our values.
Yeah, now I have the same challenge here in Michigan. I believe Michigan, there's a Senate seat up for grabs, because the Democrat Debbie Stabenow, who's been there for a number of terms, has said she's not running for re-election. I think there's a wide open opportunity there. I see other opportunities in other states. Where are your efforts going to be focused, Keith, when we head towards November of 24?
Yeah. So we're going to focus, we're going to work in all states, but we're going to primarily focus on 5 key states, Steve. Michigan is certainly one of them. We've got a great plan up in Michigan that involves this permanent mail-in voting that you guys now have. And so we're going to utilize some of that. We're also going to get very active in Wisconsin, where the hunting demographic plays very well. Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona are 5 critical states as you look forward to 2024 and beyond. And when you look at the hunting list down there of non-voters or low propensity voters, like we call them, hunters that haven't voted before or vote in 50% or less of the elections, if we can just motivate these hunters, and it is a large number, Steve, if we can motivate those hunters to go vote their values, I believe Hunter Nation is going to have a large impact or a big say-so on how those elections go in those 5 states.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Texas notwithstanding, but Texas has the most hunters, I believe. But I think Pennsylvania might be number 2. So, I mean, if you can get the hunters in Pennsylvania on board and get them to turn out. Michigan, obviously, I know there's hundreds of thousands of hunters in Michigan, and if half aren't voting, you know, about 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 people that are not casting ballots and not protecting their rights, right?
It's crazy, Steve, when you look at these numbers nationwide. And when I first got on this, you can call it a crusade if you will, I was still doing outdoor television with WWE superstar Shawn Michaels. We were doing the McMillan River Adventures program, and I had the opportunity to meet President Trump at the SHOT Show. He was only candidate Trump at the time. 17 Republicans were still in the primary. And although I voted, I wasn't really into politics. And he said something that really kind of changed and shaped my destiny, I believe. He said, you know, Keith, the reason politicians don't come to hunting-related events like this is because hunters don't vote in block. I thought he was crazy, but now that we've got Hunter Nation and Hunt the Vote, our sister organization, Hunter Nation Foundation, it is true. 50% of licensed hunters don't vote regularly. A third of those aren't even registered to vote, which is sad. But the good news, Steve, is that we have figured out how to message them, and what's critically important, who delivers the message. And we're having a great amount of success getting these very conservative Americans, men and women, to go to the polls and vote their values. And I think when hunters vote their values, things will bode well for America.
I think that's right. When you talk about people that will have a true belief in their God-given rights, because my rights don't come from you or from any other man. They come from a much higher power. When we vote our values, good things happen. Keith, Mark, I tip my hat to you. If people want to know more about what's going on with your organization, where do they find it? 2
places. Go to hunternation.org, and huntthevote.org. Huntthevote.org. Join us. It's a place where conservatives and people that believe in the traditional values can join forces and be a force to reckon with going forward.
Keith, you're doing God's work. Keep it up, my friend.
Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate it. All right, after the break, the largest Christian university is claiming that they are being targeted by federal agencies. Former law professor Matt Barber will join me with that conversation next here on ABL.